With the flick of a pen, she writes, with the story spirits by her side. Hello, friends. Hello, whoops, and welcome. Welcome to this little series we're going to do on this channel where we dive deeper into the storytelling of my channeled books, fiction and nonfiction. We're also going to be combining that with a little more fun woo-woo things like crystal-infused Reiki and some shamanic energy healing with like sound tools and some incense and candles and all of that. So you may have found me through my books, which all of my ebooks are free to read on pretty much all major ebook platforms. So my publisher is Smashwords, but Google Books, Barnes & Noble's, Apple Books, you can find all my books there. This is my channel for diving deeper into the storytelling. I have 2 other YouTube channels just to kind of give you a sense of what different offerings I have out there for you. One is Loveland Tarot. That is a card reading channel where I mainly use all of the decks I've created. So I have like 8 or 9 oracle decks that I've created now. So we do that on that channel. And we take the teachings and the spiritual journey work and stuff a lot deeper, a little bit more intermediate and advanced on my other channel, TLC for the Soul. We do a lot of light language and activations and DNA activations and all that kind of like a little bit more advanced stuff. So whatever speaks to you, I have a platform for all of that. But I feel like this place is where we're going to focus on just playing with the stories a little bit more. I'm recording this during the month of July 2022. It's summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I thought I would bring in and channel in a little bit of a summertime vibe type of story. But as always with my work, I do always have to say it's multifaceted, multidimensional, and multi-layered. So you choose how you want to experience it. If you just want to hear the story, like a feel-good story, hey, I'm here for you. We got that. You can settle in for the ASMR and the whatever it is, the relaxation, or just, you know, the good vibes that we offer here on this channel. If you want to take this a little bit deeper, then we're going to be doing some crystal-infused Reiki and some energy clearing to help raise your vibe. And we're just here as a little community on all of my channels, whichever ones you choose to interact with, just to, you know, bring some light and fun and magic into your day. So without further ado, my services. And I do offer services if you want to take your work even more personalized and deeper than that. I do offer personalized like energy healing services, card readings, all of that good stuff is available on my website, and the links to everything that I talk about are always in the show notes of each video. So for July, we are working with the themes of loneliness. And so like finding friendship and loneliness, and so combating, not really combating, but working with the emotion of loneliness. And also in the theme of giving to receive, or what's called like the law of karma or the law of reciprocity. So if you're kind of newer to this stuff and you're kind of like, what is all that she's saying? You know, you may not. I work from a very advanced level, and I try to, I'm tailoring the content to who's going to be watching these videos. So I'm just asking the spirits of love and light that join me through all of my platforms to just form a little circle of light and love and grace around us. And however you resonate and interact with that is your own personal choice. But I could, or possibly will be, saying things that might be a little over your head sometimes, and that's fine. If that's, you know, if you're not meant to understand it right now. That's just because you're not, and you're at a, everybody's at doing and understanding things at their own pace. So take the information, take the guidance, take the wisdom, take the channeling, take the fun at the level that feels most appropriate to you, and just allow everything else to kind of float away. And chances are, if you ever come back to this, if you come back to this channel, if you decide to come back to this channel, then at some point in the future, maybe you will understand it in a different light. A lot of my work is used by people, like, it's timeless. So people go back and forth amongst the channels and kind of intuitively pick and choose what feels right to them. So I do want to pull out, they're guiding me towards the sandalwood. So we're going to do sandalwood incense today, and you can just vibe on that beautiful little mountain scene. Every time. This reminds me of Mount Shasta and Telos and the Telosians that live under Mount Shasta, except we're not here to really talk about Telos right now. We are here to talk about the Faeries of Lemon Loch, which is my newest body of work. All my stories that I channel in, all the work that I do is meant to be healing in some way. And this particular little book, I don't know how long it's going to be or how much work we're doing with the Faeries of Lemon Loch, but this particular little body of work is, again, working with healing loneliness and giving and receiving. Giving in order to receive, but not with the mindset of, I'm just doing this to get something back. We'll talk more about this as we go. All right, so let's get into this sandalwood. Here, I'll light it in front of you. I haven't smelled this one in a long time. What does it smell like? It smells super good. So just let this sandalwood kind of clear your space. And as with all of my platforms, I invite you to come out of your magical space and join me in mine. Let's just open the door with some Reiki. I am a Reiki master, so we do. So we're going to be reading the channeling here and momentarily. This is kind of like the teaching or the lesson or the doorway into this healing opportunity that's coming up. If you choose to accept it, like I said, you don't have to, you just choose to listen to the story. This story was inspired by the art of Brian Froud. If you're not familiar with his work and his fairies and fae and goblins and trolls and all that, you can go look him up. He's very well known in the fairy world, in the fairy art world. Let's do a little, can we even see that burning? I don't know, I want to smell it. I'll leave it further down here. I want to smell it too. Let's get out this little baby rattle. This rattle was actually handmade, not by me, but it's so old. It's kind of vintage. It's kind of falling apart. It's got a bear claw on it. Before we get into the story, we're just going to do a little bit of clearing. Just very lightly clearing your energy, just opening you to receive these messages. Just clearing your ear chakras. You may hear something. So cute. The energy of bear is very, very powerful. I mean, I'm not taking this lightly as I'm like floating this around you. The spirit of Mother Bear is a very powerful totem. If you work with spirit animals, check out bear as your spirit totem. Could be important for you if you desire to learn more about that. All right, so let's get into our little story. So this is the storytelling part of this. I will show you. Where did it go? Wait, stop. Go back. I don't want to do this. So I put Brian's, one of his pieces of art up on my, up on my tablet, just to kind of get in the mood for this month's work. So good. Why can't I show this? So we're working with the Fairies of Lemon. No, we're not working with Oracle decks right now. We're working with the Fairies of Lemon Loch. This is a big lemon. And we're going to go into this and we're going to start the story. So for the storytelling part of this show, you can choose to just listen, actively listen. You may be doing other things and listening kind of through osmosis, which is kind of what I tend to do sometimes with audiobooks. Or, excuse me, you may want to lay down and put on some headphones. Or you may want to take me outside with you to your favorite fairy location, sit amongst your fairy circle or fairy ring, and listen to this channeling. If you're not familiar with my work, all these stories are channeled, meaning they're done via like automatic writing. That's how they all come through to me. I just sit and meditate with the spirit friends of certain ones that come to me who I kind of am interested in working with them, and then they share these stories with me. So I'm really just the conduit and the channel for all of this amazing, fun, healing stuff. So without further ado, this is the Fairies of Lemon Loch. This is part of my Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke book series, and this is chapter 1, In an Instant. It all happened so fast. 1 minute Jenna was drinking her morning tea, and the next she was being transported again. She knew when the mist vamp showed up that magic was afoot, and so she closed her eyes and waited. The mist tiptoed over the threshold of her open door, enveloping her and asked her to rise. Where to this time, she thought, as she recalled the last time she had succumbed to the magic. There were no words as usual, only a beckoning to follow. And so Jenna put down her blueberry biscuit, slipped on her fairy boots, and made her way outside. Deep, forest green mist enveloped her, and she walked towards the woods. She had delighted in them even when Rutger had suggested a house in the city. She had stayed true to herself and insisted on the woods. There had been a compromise when they both decided to move in together, but it was always done with love and compassion. Jenna got her forest house, and Rutger got his charming bungalow in town. They took turns staying in both places, and of course, made the magical go wherever they both wandered. Jenna focused on following the green mist as it shrouded around her like a cape. The mist vamp was being his ever mysterious self, always wanting to captivate and allure rather than just blatantly move forward. Jenna could hear children playing, and she moved towards that sound. It was a boy and a girl, both tall for their age, of what seemed to be 7 or 8. Were they twins? Jenna couldn't tell from this distance, but it seemed they were calling her home. That was strange, she thought, and wondered if maybe it was Merlin playing games again. He liked to show her things that could be called premonitions. But who knows, Jenna thought. Anything is possible. The twins gestured for Jenna to follow, and the mist vamp swirled around the fairy children and beckoned them on together. Jenna felt dreamy and sleepy, and she wanted to lie down, but this was no time for sleep, for there was work to be done. Treasure awaited, and the twins smiled as the boy we'll call Michael took a penny out of his pocket. He twirled it around, and what appeared to be a penny swirled into a gold doubloon. He winked at Jenna. The girl we'll call Myler said something that Jenna couldn't quite make out. It sounded like, when you follow the father, the mother returns. But that made absolutely no sense, so she just focused on Michael and the mist vamp as they moved further into the woods. The gold doubloon had shifted again, and now Michael held a dragon egg of pure gold. He put the egg down on the ground and took in a deep breath. He turned around 3 times, and then in an ancient dialect that no one present could understand, said the incantation and put the dragon's breath on the egg through a series of fire breaths. 1, 2, 3 times he breathed the dragon fire onto the egg. It slipped under the earth, and that was that. The twins waved at Jenna, and poof, they were gone, save for the shiny gold doubloon that lay where Michael had just been. The mist vamp, satisfied with his concoction, willed Jenna to follow him further. She went willingly, and soon they stood at a cliff overlooking the point. The lake below was shimmering, and a special spot that Jenna always referred to as the Pirate's Cove glistened back. At that, the gold doubloon rattled on down the hill. It sounded like the waves on a Spanish galleon rather than some old coin, and Jenna, the mist vamp, and the doubloon prattled on down the hill towards the lake and Pirate's Cove. Jenna's mind flashed back quickly to her blueberry biscuit and the time that must have surely passed by now. But the mist vamp shushed her quietly, knowing full well that time with him was only in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2, The Lemon Patch. There was a bustling about, and then suddenly they were at the bottom of the hill. Jenna looked around and couldn't really tell where she was. It seemed like the Pirate's Cove was shrouded now in a dark mist, and she wondered if she should still head over that way, or maybe she should go a new way. The mist vamp was nowhere to be found. Instead, the smell of lemons and what seemed to be a pie or tart filled the air around Jenna. The smell was so aromatic, and yet at the same time the sweetness of it was a little overpowering. She didn't know what she was supposed to do. The lemon-scentedness carrying over her, she felt like she had to see at least what was causing this enchanting smell. She stepped over a small rock embankment and made her way onto a path that hadn't really seemed to be there until now. The lemon smell getting stronger now, she closed her eyes slightly, knowing that sometimes a full-on gaze can obstruct the magical views. And then she saw what lay ahead under the boughs of an ancient-looking tree. There appeared to be a small encampment. There was music playing, and the sound of a harpsichord lilting through the glen she now found herself in. Wow, the wonder she could find just by choosing to follow her heart. She knew it was good to have the mind, but she always found so much more fun and adventure when she let go and allowed her heart to lead. That mist vamp, he always seemed to know exactly what she needed. Jenna made a mental note to leave a small offering out for him when she got home. The lemon-scented tart smell got her attention again. She bent down and looked on the ground around her. She could sense she was being watched, but she didn't feel anyone around. Her mind got the best of her and tried to talk herself out of moving forward, but she stayed in her heart as best she could. And then she saw them. Around the base of the ancient tree and peeking in around the small rocks and hedges were all manner of whimsical folk. She took a step forward, and then she fell in. Chapter 3, Making Lemonade. Jenna could hardly believe her eyes. She had stepped through a gate right across the liminal space and into their lands. They met her at the crossover, and a beautiful guide, the Lemon Fae of Orkney, slipped her hand in Jenna's and greeted her warmly. Jenna was transfixed and betwixt the two worlds, and the Fae of Lemon Loch eyed her with curiosity. "How may I serve you?" The light within Jenna's heart, always willing to do a good deed, But the Fae of Lemon Loch only twittered and giggled. "Oh, it is us who are here to serve you," they said with excitement at the first human person who had the courage enough to step over the threshold. Many others had seen the glimmer of Lemon Loch before, but none had dared enter. Of course, it helped to be invited, and the glittery gift of the gold doubloon had been a nice treat that they couldn't ignore. But no, this was even more special than that, for in their service work, the Fairies of Lemon Loch would help Jenna dig even deeper into her heart. They would be a forever friend and companion, and she would never have to be lonely again. So interesting, Jenna thought to herself, as a knowingness of how they all fit together in her world began to take shape. They would help her, these small and whimsical beings, to make even the darkest of times lighter. And for Jenna, they would allow her to see beyond even the spaces that Rutger O'Malley had been unable to crack open inside her with his love. The Lemon Fae of Orkney drew Jenna closer inside the thicket and motioned her to take a seat on the pine needles that had been lovingly placed into a small cushion awaiting her arrival. "Here," the Lemon Fae of Orkney said, "let us introduce ourselves." Chapter 4. Sally Says a Lot. The magic mushroom of incantation sat at the center of the circle. As Jenna watched and waited, a dung beetle appeared at the top of the mushroom. Small and beguiling at first, the iridescent green and yellow of the beetle's body glimmered in the afternoon sun that filtered through the trees of Lemon Loch. Jenna leaned forward to get a better look, and then she smiled. Sally's iridescence also shone like a beacon of light and hope, and Jenna held out her hand for the beetle to perch on it if she so desired. "How can we help others?" Jenna said aloud to the fairy folk of Lemon Loch. "I feel like I'm here for a greater purpose." "Of course you are," the leader of Lemon Loch, a wise and ancient fairy named Millicent Merriweather, said from her perch atop a blue birch that sat at the northernmost top of the fairy circle. "We like to help too, and so we have called you here to assist." Jenna smiled again at the delight that whenever she wandered, magic could be at her doorstep. "I'm Sally Says a Lot," the green and yellow dung beetle said, perching on Jenna's outstretched hand. "I have a story to tell. A long time ago, my body was a dull and uninteresting color of brown and mucky black. I felt really subconsciously that I was not very well liked around here. I always wanted to be something more, but I didn't know how to do anything meaningful other than to fertilize." Sally paused to open her green and yellow iridescence to the sun. She sighed and continued. "Then one day I met a fellow dung beetle, Ferdinand, and Ferdinand had the most beautiful purple and gold wings. I really liked those wings so much." Sally trailed off at the mention of her friend Ferdinand, who had come and gone. Such was the way with traveling monks. "Ferdinand showed me a way to make more of myself, to feel better about how I am in the world. He brought me here to Lemon Loch, and I used my unique talent of fertilizing to help others by planting seeds of hope and good cheer amongst the others here. You see," she said happily now, "it is in giving that we receive. The more I try to offer happiness and calm healing words to my fellow travelers, the better I felt. And then one morning upon waking, after many, many moons of providing this service, my wings felt different. The most beautiful of yellow and green iridescence surrounded me, a gift for all the work I'd done to help others find the magic within themselves. And so now here I am," Sally said, taking a breath. "And young traveler of whom I sit upon now, I have something for you." Sally puffed herself up and made her aura very big, tapping into her heart for the wisdom of the situation. "You are a lady most fair, yet you hide behind your golden hair. Take heart, and you will see that magic is within and around every tree. Each time you are sad, make a mental note. The way to find happiness is to allow yourself to float. Sally Says a Lot took a small bow, and the friends of Lemon Loch clapped in glee. They knew that Sally had delivered much wisdom and that Jenna would need some time to figure it out. Go now, young friend, Millicent Mayweather said with a flourish. Go back to your world and contemplate these words. Live this teaching and allow yourself to receive the healing, for on the rhyme lays the rhythm of the healing. Jenna thanked the fae that were there and stood up, brushing off her skirt and straightening her hair bun. She said goodbye to the friends and quietly walked out of the loch. A familiar wisp of mist surrounded her, and she allowed the mist vamp to guide her back up the hill and out of the dreamlands. He walked her all the way back to her door, and she thanked him, promising to leave a surprise offering for him at the light of the full moon. Until then, dear friend, you have time to ponder and assimilate the teachings of the wise Sally Says a Lot. All right. So come back into your space to help maybe ground in that teaching, that little lesson a little bit more, or that story a little bit more for you if you so desire. We're going to do some crystal-infused Reiki healing. This is a beautiful cracked clear quartz. If you're open to receive, you just have to mentally or out loud receive this healing. Very light language. Shush, 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 shush. Gimana cara ko kata kata. Beneda da 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 da. Nera kata kata. Right, friends, our story time is coming to a close. The healing, the magic, the mystery of the story has been infused within and around you. If you choose to interact with it further, you can. I want to thank you all for joining me here. If you want to dive into the story further, I take the teachings of each one and we explore them at a little bit more advanced level. We dig out the metaphors that are the deeper meanings of these stories over on my TLC for the Soul channel, and we do activations and healing and a deeper dive into those teachings. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here. If you like what you see, like and subscribe at your desire, and we will see you again soon at the full moon for the continuation of the Faeries of Lemon Loch. Thank you for joining. Take care.